Daniel, there's a sort of modern fable, fairy tale-like quality, I think, to Horns,
Yeah.
and it certainly covers the full spectrum of genres, doesn't it? Just wondered what your initial reaction was to Keith Bunning's screenplay when you first read it.
It was, I mean, I was kind of stunned by how original it was and how fearlessly it swapped between genres and it was in equal parts incredibly funny and moving and kind of tragic, but also like tense and dark and violent in a kind of fun way, even though I know violence isn't fun, not in real life, but in films it can be. And if you shoot anything beautifully enough, it can be made great. That's, Tarantino is testament to that. So, there's a lot of that kind of stuff in the movie, and it's just the fact that you get to be a part of a movie where you kind of get to have it all genre-wise and do that many different things was very exciting.
And did you go back to Joe Hill's book, and how helpful was that when you were preparing to play him?
Yeah, I mean, it's great having the book there because you can have an extra resource when you sort of initially, especially when you start and you've just read the script. It's very helpful because also there might be some things in the book where you go, oh, I actually think that's really important, and so it's worth saying those kind of things. But then once you've gone through that initial period, then I tend to just rely on the script because you don't want to be the guy coming in on day 40 being like, hey, I just found this in the book that isn't like how we're doing it today. That's annoying. No one wants to be that guy.
And the forest, it sort of sits at the heart of the film, both the sort of the dark heart and the light heart as well, in a way. And I was quite surprised that it wasn't a set, because it just looks enchanted and beautiful, doesn't it? But it was a real place.
That's the forests around Vancouver in British Columbia are all like, they're beautiful. I mean, that's the thing I came to sort of love about Vancouver, was that you've got a very metropolitan city and you can drive for sort of 45 minutes and be surrounded by mountains and forests, and like it's an amazing place. I think they shot the Twilight movies there as well. Like, I think it's like very similar area.
But this has a sort of autumnal,
we're sort of more colourful.
Sort of,
Then they're a much starker film tonally. Yeah,
there's a beautiful palette here, as you mentioned. It's beautiful, so quite painterly.
Well, that's Fred Elms, the DOP. Every time period in the film, so there's sort of 3 time periods. There's the one with the kids in the past, there's the one with me and Merrin when we're both alive and well and fine, and then there's the one post Merrin, and all 3 of those films were shot on different like types of stock with different filters in to give them all very, like, the young one particularly has this great like nostalgic Stand By Me kind of feel to it, like, yeah.
And Fred Elms, of course, cinematographer on some Lynch films.
Yes.
Wild at Heart,
and
Eraserhead.
Yeah, I think I maybe want to say Twin Peaks as well, but I don't know.
There's
that could
Twin
be.
Peaks vibe. Have you seen? Have you got to see Twin Peaks?
I haven't. No,
but there is a Twin Peaks vibe.
Somebody said this to me the other day, I felt very, very ignorant, because I'm like, oh, great, cool. I don't know what that means, but awesome. I know that's a really cool thing that lots of people love. But yeah, no, I should probably watch it.
Yeah, as a springboard to go and watch it. And Heather Graham, a waitress in Twin Peaks, and of course Waitress.
Oh, right, yeah, oh, cool. Yeah.
Offering cherry pie. Ig's car is awesome, and I wondered what you thought of it, what it was like to drive, and did it kind of help you get into character in the same way a costume sometimes can?
I mean, I'll be honest with you. No, because I am not a driver. I am taking lessons at the moment. I haven't got my license yet. I'm gonna pass my test soon. But I love the car as well. It was fun to drive. I inevitably was driving on the wrong side of the road a lot, even just instinctively, but because we were in America. But I did enjoy it. I was very glad it was automatic, but I have to say that, I was never liberated by it or found it transformative, because I was always thinking, oh God, I hope I don't hit this person's garden ornament. Because there was one shot hitting a mark in a car. Man, if I never have to do that again, it'll be too soon. It's really not my favourite.
I think once you pass your test, all these driving scripts are going to come your way.
Well, that's the thing, they already are. That's why I'm taking lessons. There's so many roles require a bit of driving at least, so yeah.
That pivotal diner scene really packs an emotional punch.
Yeah.
And there's a sense of history there between you and Juno Temple's character. You've known each other about 10 years, I think, at that stage.
Yeah.
Haven't you? How did you create that feeling of connection and history?
Well, I mean, we got lucky in the sense that me and Juno really hit it off, and I think that, God, that helps. And I think Juno and I both come to the set with a very similar attitude, which is to be giving and generous, and we will always, I think, give as much of ourselves as the other person is willing to give, and because we're both very, I feel we both feel the same way about that, it meant that we were very quickly able to establish that kind of connection, and also just through like hanging around on set and sharing stories of your lives. So even though they're separate, you sort of have some collective memories that you can, like, you know, even if you're just improvising in a scene, you can cast your mind back to something in, you know, actually in Juno's life, or she can cast her mind back to something that I told her about me. And like, you can, when there's that level of trust and you tell each other that kind of stuff, and there is, I don't know, there's just, you trust yourself to be able to go there with the other person, and for the other person to go there with you so you don't look silly. And that's, you know, and that diner scene, I couldn't have done that. I don't know, you know, Juno was so important in that scene, because she just kept bringing it, you know, emotionally. For 2 days, we filmed that scene for 2 days, and it was like, I remember getting to the end of the first day and being like, okay, cool, we're done, right? And Alex was like, no, we'll probably have to be on this all tomorrow as well. And it was, you know, it's a great scene, but it was hard. But it's one of the scenes I'm proudest of in the film.
No, right. So Juno Temple's been one of my favourites for a long time.
She's amazing, man. She's a blueprint.
And the horns in the film we have to mention as well. What were they like to wear? Prosthetic, presumably, rather than CGI?
Yeah, no, they were all prosthetic. They were always there. They were great. You know, they were very light. They were very easy to put on. They went on in about 20 minutes probably by the end of the movie. We got really fast. I said we. I just sat there. Yeah, I mean, and even like the big prosthetic stuff, like there's sort of more involved prosthetics towards the end of the movie. I feel like I've heard of stuff like that taking 4 to 5 hours on people before, and it took 2 on me. I mean, they were and you know, if you got told they did it in 4, you'd be like, oh my god, that's amazing. But to do it in 2 is incredible. Like, it's, and not only is it fast, it's beautiful. Like, it's as good as anything anyone else could have done. They're amazing guys. And
the film's released in time for Halloween.
Yes.
Which Halloween costume are you proudest of? David Bowie was in your back
catalogue.
Oh
man, why did I not think of David Bowie? It wasn't really a Halloween costume, that's why I didn't think of it, but I did go to a fancy dress party as David Bowie when I was 14, and the theme of the party was Grease, and I was like, I hate Grease, I'm not going as Grease, I'm going as David Bowie. And it was pretty cool, because also all my friends, I was like, I had a totally unfair advantage that all my friends worked in costume, and so they knew people who worked at Bowman's and Angel's costume house, and which had done Velvet Goldmine, so I got like Jonathan Rhys-Meyer's floor-length sequin frock coat from that movie I wore to this 14-year-old birthday party.
And he's on the soundtrack, so it's nicely horns relevant as well.
Oh yeah, no, it is very, yeah.
And just finally, I know you're learning Japanese. Could you give us a useful phrase that we might be able to use and keep it clean, obviously?
Okay, well, there's genki desu ka, which is like, how are you? And if you want to say I'm fine, just go genki desu, which is I am healthy. And then you can say, I think the word, I may be saying this wrong, but suishimo is, I think, is useful for me and maybe not for everybody, but is let's go smoke, which is useful for some but not for everyone. And my favourite Japanese word, though, I'll tell you, is tokidoki, because it sounds like hokey dokey, and it's not. It means sometimes, but it's just a great word.
It sounds like you're taking to it very, very well. Daniel Radcliffe, thank you very much.